So far you would have had a live read of the beautiful text that we've been exploring over the last few days, The Colour of Music by Tiffen and illustrated by Matt Ottley. But to gain some deeper understanding for us, we really need to know what some of the amazing vocabulary within the text means. So today we're going to incorporate a vocabulary knowledge scale to help us explore some of the more interesting and newer vocabulary that we may not have come across before. So I'm going to walk you through by doing a Think Aloud for the first example in our vocabulary knowledge scale. So from within the text, I came across this really interesting word, arpeggio or arpeggios. And in the text, in the sentence that we can find it in, it sits like this. Peaceful, glistening arpeggios lilt up and over themselves, from dark depths to airy tinkling tones, falling down into the deep rumbling waves of the bass. So as you can see in front of you on the vocabulary knowledge scale, we have 4 columns. The first column being that I have never seen or heard of this word before. Our second column refers to something that is a little bit more familiar, but we don't have control of it, or it's not really in our vocabulary that we would use in our daily conversation. So we call that I have seen or heard this word before, but I don't know how to use it or write it. So we're talking about context there. And then finally, we also have the next option of I think it might mean, and that you're kind of comfortable in using the word in the right context. You might have heard it before. You might be able to use it in conversations with other people, and to show complete control of it, you're also able to use it in your writing. But then we want to formalize our definition. So we do need to go to a knowledgeable source. So for today, I'm going to be using the Merriam-Webster online dictionary to get our knowledgeable source. Sometimes you can go to a knowledgeable other, so your classroom teacher or mum and dad or maybe an older sibling. But today we're going to be using Merriam-Webster's online dictionary. So for me, arpeggios is not a completely foreign word. Because I was really lucky and I studied music when I was much younger, I am able to make some connections to words like this. But so I wouldn't at this point of time say that it's a word that I've never seen or heard before, but it is a word that I'm not completely comfortable with. So I'm actually going to put my asterisks in this part of the column here, so that I know that that's actually where my knowledge sits of the word arpeggios at this point of time. I have heard of it before. I am familiar with words like this through my own experience with music, but I wouldn't be able to use it confidently in the right sentence or in my own writing. So then I'm going to go to my Merriam-Webster dictionary, and I am going to type it in, making sure I spell it correctly. Oh, no. Does not want to put in that last 0. There we go. Let's click on and see what a formal. So it's giving me the definition of is the production of the tones of a chord in succession and not simultaneously. So for instance, a chord played in arpeggio. And it's giving me the sentence example of the guitarist warmed up with a few simple arpeggios. So let's go back to here and put that into my own words and say that it is a chord of music played by any instrument. And then I'm going to add it is a musical term. Okay. So what I want you to do then is to go and consider your experience with the words that are also within the text. So we have glistening, vibrations, lilt, hollow, strains, chords, weeping, triads, subtle, hues, and we also have harmonies down the bottom. Now, if you want to hear how the author uses it in context, go back and listen to the online read again in the previous Google slide and just identify in each of those areas how familiar you are with the word, but also remembering to give the dictionary definition. And then I want you to go back and listen to the text again and reflect on how much deeper your understanding of the text is now that you are somewhat more familiar with the really interesting vocabulary in the text.